One of the most valuable skills you can develop in this life is the ability to learn from others, be it their mistakes or their successes. This is true for individuals and it is true for companies, and I believe it is true for Wizards of the Coast, specifically in regards to Magic Online. There's been a lot of talk about Magic Online improvements, overhauls, and MTG Digital Next lately, with such seemingly focused interest in improving their online offerings. I thought a lot about other TCGs online, specifically Pokemon Online. Pokemon TCG has a lot in common with Magic the Gathering, but they have a far, far superior online experience for their players. In the spirit of learning from others, I would like to offer 5 things that they do well that Magic Online could and should copy. Now, I am not going to be listing off technical improvements like fixing bugs or improving graphics or offering multi-platform support, but rather I want to tell you about 5 actual features, actual things that Pokemon TCG does that Magic Online would greatly benefit from. But first, an honorable mention: daily rewards. What's this? On Pokemon Online, you get a small reward each day just for logging in. Keep logging in successive days and you get a slightly bigger reward. This reward can be anything from a few coins to spend in the store to a booster pack. This is a cute little feature that helps incentivize players to continue regularly logging into and possibly playing after they do so the online client. And of course, it also assists those who maybe have reduced means by giving them coins to spend in the online store and even a booster pack every now and then from which to get cards. But the real benefit is number 5 on my list, and it's the rewards ladder. What is a rewards ladder? A rewards ladder is a lineup of prizes, from coins to event tickets to cards and booster packs, that you earn just by playing free games of Pokemon Online. So this is as if each time you went into the free-to-play Modern or Pauper or Standard practice rooms, if you won that game, you'd work toward the next reward on the ladder. Imagine if by playing and winning in the practice Modern or Standard rooms, you earned booster packs or chests, or could even grind your way towards a full art Steam Vents or something like that. Pokemon Online does this. Why is it a good thing? First, it lets people grind their way towards decks. Just by getting and winning free games, you earn coins and tickets and cards. No money required if you don't have it. It causes people to log in and play like crazy to make their way up an exponentially more and more difficult ladder with exponentially bigger and better rewards. Best of all is that one catch: win. You have to win to advance on the ladder. How frustrating are some of those practice rooms where people drop immediately or don't play with any seriousness? It often feels like you are not even getting a real game of Magic. The incentive to win in those free practice matches suddenly makes a lot more people try harder and harder, giving everyone a better online experience. All right, number 4 on my list: AFK trading. The Pokemon trading system is a much easier and beneficial setup to the current one Magic Online has. On Pokemon Online, I can say what cards I have for trade and which cards I am looking for, create a trade offer, and just leave it until someone with the cards I want decides to trade with me. I don't even have to stay logged in. Just create a trade that says something like, I don't know, I'm, hey, trading 2 Ash Zealots for a Rest in Peace. If someone with a Rest in Peace wants my 2 Ash Zealots, they can search through the trades, find mine, complete the trade, get their Ash Zealots instantly, and the Rest in Peace will be waiting for me when I log back in. Best of all, the trade system on Pokemon Online allows me to search through all trade offers to see who has the cards I want or who wants the cards I have and what they are offering for them. And yes, the Pokemon Online system allows me to put up event tickets and booster packs. Coming in at number 3 is that all new players should be given some kind of playable deck or even decks so that they can immediately sit down and play the game. When you create a brand new Pokemon Online account, which is 100% free by the way, and does not require a credit card unlike Magic Online, which needs a one-time $10 fee, well, once you do this with Pokemon Online, you are given a starter deck. This starter deck is not a top-tier standard constructed deck, no, but it is actually fairly good. Think of it like a budget mono red burn or mono white aggro deck, and you can play against other people with similarly balanced intro decks. Each new Magic Online account gets the following: 5 event tickets to use to join Magic Online limited and constructed events, 20 new player points, which you can use new player points to join events specifically designed for players who are new to Magic Online, 2 player avatars, and over 800 cards consisting of 40 of each basic land, so that's 200 of those 800 cards right there, 2 of each common from Kaladesh, Eldritch Moon, Shadows over Innistrad, Oath of the Gatewatch, and Battle for Zendikar, and 2 of each of a handful of Welcome Deck 2016 cards. Things like Sengir Vampire, Shivan Dragon, so forth. Yes, you can technically participate in that free new player draft, but this is very different from being given an actual constructed deck. With a constructed deck, you can sit down and play the game again and again, learning as you go. I mean, imagine being a brand new player signing up for Magic Online and being given a free newbie draft, and then what? Where do you go from there? But if you were given an actual deck, even a basic one, you could sit and play in the free rooms and learn. Hey, at the very least, why not give them one of the Planeswalker decks? I'm not a big fan of these. You can see my review on them here, and yeah, that applies to the new ones that just came out, but they sure are better than a pile of random jank that Wizards dumps on new players now. Alright, I know that a lot of people are going to be very angry at number 2 in that they're going to say it should have been number 1, but I hope very much that you'll step back and consider why I placed this in the 2nd spot and why what I did place in the number 1 spot really is the most important thing Magic Online can learn from Pokemon Online. So, at number 2 is codes in all paper products to receive that product online. I've actually heard a lot of words and rumors and whispers that Wizards of the Coast even once claimed long ago that this was a feature they intended to implement on Magic Online, and I really wish they had. But every time you buy a paper Pokemon product, from booster packs to intro decks to elite trainer boxes, you get within that paper product a code that gives you those cards online for free. So buy a theme deck like this one here, open it up, and you also have the exact same product online by using the code that comes in the theme deck. Buy booster packs, and each booster pack has a code for that pack online. No, the booster packs don't and probably can't have the same cards, but you do still get a booster pack online for each you buy in paper, and that still goes a long way. This is probably the one thing on this list Wizards of the Coast most does not want to do, but must do for the longevity and success of the game as a whole. You can't have it both ways, by which I mean you can't have people pay for a paper collection and a digital collection. I know they want to double dip and double their coffers, but it's not something that can sustain itself. You can't expect me to buy a booster box in paper and then buy a booster box online for the same price. Pokemon knows this. They know that by linking the two worlds, paper and digital, they keep both alive. The sales of MTG booster packs and sealed product would go through the roof if they included MTGO codes in them. In the end, nearly all of MTGO's online competitors offer grind-to-play systems where those without the means to pay hundreds of dollars for a deck can earn their way towards one just by logging in and playing. Everyone else does this. There's a reason the free-to-play model replaced prior systems. And when Magic expects me to spend my money twice on paper and then again on digital, it runs the risk of getting Neither. But what is that number one thing that Magic Online should offer that Pokemon Online currently does? Everyone, I know, probably feels it should be those codes, but you must think about what's best for the game. And this top slot is even better than online codes, and that is an online tutorial that fully teaches you how to play the game. When I sign up for Pokemon Online, again 100% for free, I am run through an amazing tutorial that teaches me how to play the game, and all in about 10 to 15 minutes. I can continue on tutorial-like matches against the PC, where I will generate more cards and more intro decks to add to my collection, giving me practice games and instructing me on the finer points of gameplay. Magic Online needs this. Heck, Magic the Gathering as a game needs this. Imagine if for every prospective player to Magic the Gathering, if an answer to every question of, how do you play Magic the Gathering? The only thing any of us would ever have to say was, oh, just log into Magic Online for free, and the tutorial there will really easily and effectively teach you how to play. Oh, and it'll also give you a free playable deck so that you can sit down and immediately start enjoying this great game. Do you know how many new players we'd have? Do you know how many people that would get hooked on Magic and become customers for the long term? A lot. It would be extraordinary to have such a thing, that tutorial, and there is no reason why it could not exist. No, Pokemon is not the same as Magic the Gathering. It does not have instant spells or a second main phase, but games like Hex do, and they too have a tutorial that teaches you how to play. We need to see what these other online systems are doing and learn from them. Not stubbornly say it can't be done, or that wouldn't work for us. Again, this is not meant to be hating on Magic Online, but instead it is meant to encourage it in the right direction. But what about you? You probably play a lot of games that I never have. Do any of those games that you play have features, and I mean actual features, that Magic Online could benefit from emulating? Let me know in the comments below what features Magic Online could learn from the games you love to play. And this program was made possible thanks to a sponsorship from Card Kingdom, as well as the Patreon support of viewers such as you. So thank you.
Your win, friend. I can see it.
Liadrin versus
Excellent!
What's up guys, welcome back to Paul's Hardware. Today's video is called The Trouble with RGB LEDs, and if you think the trouble with RGB LEDs is that they exist at all, then this video is probably not for you, because I'm not going to be saying no one should have RGB LEDs. In fact, I'm going to be advocating for them to some degree, but also advocating having the right and proper amount of control over them. So for that purpose, I have some brief demos here to show you. I'm going to explain a little bit more fundamentally how RGB LEDs actually work, how you can get the vast variety of different colors out of them by using motherboard software control or an actual controller that might be included within RGB LED kits. And then finally, a feature that I believe, to my knowledge so far, is exclusive to Gigabyte boards with this current round of Z270 stuff that's come out, which is the addition of a 5th pin connection for the RGB LED strips themselves, which gives you the ability to do not just RGB, but RGBW, including a specific channel just for white, or RGB UV, using that other specific channel for UV lighting. I'm not a big fan of UV lighting, but some people are. What I do like is being able to get the actual pure white out of the RGB LEDs, because often when you try to take a motherboard or an RGB LED and set it to white, you get more of a bluish tone, because what it's actually doing is using the 3 diodes. That's what LED stands for, is light emitting diode, and every RGB LED has 3 of them, at least if it's RGB. One is red, one is green, one is blue. So for a more precise explanation of how these RGB LEDs work, why don't I just plug this one in right here. Basically, you have a 12-volt connection, and LEDs can operate on either 12 volts or 5 volts. So double check. Most of the motherboards that have headers on them, like this Gigabyte Z170X Gaming 7 or Horus Z170X Gaming 7, actually has the pinouts on the motherboard and a 12-volt connection. Some of the kits that you might buy off of eBay or something like that might be 5 volts, so do double check that. Now, each actual light that's on this strip, and they're spaced out fairly evenly, is referred to as a 50/50 LED. That's specifically referring to the size, which is 5 millimeters by 5 millimeters. And then each light here actually has 3 diodes within it. Each of those diodes receives a signal coming down the cable, and that's why there's 3 other plugs besides the actual 12-volt signal coming through. And then the 3 connections provide data that tells each little diode how bright to be. So you have actually 256 levels of brightness from 0 to 255, and that is because the way computers primarily work is communicating via bytes. A byte is 8 bits. So if you've ever adjusted color using a computer, then you might have been presented with something like the color wheel that Gigabyte has provided here in the RGB Fusion software. Now the color wheel allows you to visually just choose which color you want anything to be, but if you look at the RGB numbers there, you'll notice that there's a number from 0 to 255 on each one. So again, 256 different values that can be, and by providing a different level of brightness to the red, the green, and the blue outputs, those actual diodes on the LED strip will be brighter or darker. Combine those all together and you will end up with the color. So for instance, if we wanted all blue, we can have something like that, which is 0, 0, 255. If we wanted all red, kind of the same thing, 255, 0, 0. All green, 0, 255, 0. Now, you can actually do a little bit of math here and figure out why these all are as they should be, because computers typically communicate in bytes. A byte is 8 bits, and each bit can have 2 states that it can be in, a 0 or a 1. So if you take 2 to the 8th power, indicating each of those separate states that each bit in a byte can be, you end up with 256, and if you've ever used computers before, you probably see this number all the time because it is frequently used as a power of 2. So going back over to our RGB software here, each of those, a single byte of data can be transmitted to tell each diode what color it should be and what brightness, I'm sorry, not what color it should be, but what brightness it should be. Right now what you might be seeing, if you're at least looking at me and what I'm holding up here, is the LED strip, which is blue, and then the motherboard over here, which is actually green. So here's just an example of a little bit of a snafu that you can get into when you're connecting RGB LED strips, which is it's not standardized. You have, again, RG and B, but those are sometimes switched, flip-flopped around. It's not necessarily going to cause a huge problem or fire anything if they get switched, although the 12 volts is of course very important. Make sure the 12 volt always goes into the 12 volt plug. But it just means that the motherboard's trying to say, hey, make it green, but it's got green and blue switched around, so it ends up being blue. The way you can combat this is actually via adapters, such as this one that ships with cable mod LEDs that are made to work with ASUS motherboards, and this actually flips a couple of the wire leads in there so that the motherboard's output corresponds with the input that's being expected by the LED strip. Now these new LED strips from Cable Mod actually have 5 connection points, and one for the 12 volt, that's just providing power, and an R, G, B, and W. And that fifth lead coming out there controls the other LED, and you actually might notice here, these are completely different LEDs. There's actually two 50/50 LEDs on this strip that are side by side. One is RGB with 3 diodes here, and one is just a single strong white LED, which only does white, because you may have noticed, if you've ever done anything with RGB LED boards in the past, that when you try to represent all white, which I will attempt to do here very briefly, like so, you notice it's not the same color. In fact, this has potentially a little bit of a blue tint, or maybe even a little bit of a green tint, depending on how colorblind you may or may not be, and it just doesn't look as clean or as bright as it should. So for that reason, you can get these strips, which are RGBW, and then the software actually, at least in the advanced section for Gigabyte's RGB Fusion software here, allows you to go down here and individually control just the header that's coming out. So one thing you can do here is actually calibrate it, which is pretty useful. If you don't have that little adapter, you can tell it that no, the center one should be blue and this one should be green, so flip-flop those around if you're not getting the right color out of your connected RGB strip that the motherboard is trying to say. But then here you can also tell it to enable the white LED as well, which I have turned on. You can disable the white LED, so it's just only going to use the RGB ones. If you want more consistency, like for example with our Aorus motherboard here, also has RGB LEDs on it, but no white ones. So if you wanted everything to match up there a little bit more clearly, we could. Or you can tell it just do the white or UV only, which is nice if you want to have the versatility to turn off all the RGB ones, but keep the white ones on, just to have, you know, if you want a Christmas time, white Christmas theme or something like that. You have that flexibility to be able to do that. Now one other thing I noticed as I was setting up for this is that you can actually take an RGB LED strip here, and you can connect it up to just the 4 pins on the end of this 5-pin RGB plus W strip. As long as I get that correct, you can actually extend that a little bit. Now most RGB strips are going to have a limitation on how many of these you can actually daisy chain after these. I believe the Cable Mod strips here are limited to 3 meters in total, so bear that in mind. You can't infinitely connect these up, but it does give you that option. However, one caveat here that I should point out is that, again, if you have flipped values, like right now, it's trying to be green, but this one has the green and the blue flip-flop, so it's blue instead. So it's not always going to work 100%, but I did think that was kind of fun that you could connect up both of those. So if I'm getting back to the main point of this video, what is the actual trouble with LEDs that I'm talking about? Well, the main trouble with RGB LEDs, in my opinion, is the fact that although you can have a wide range of colors, up to 16 million if you believe the marketing hype, and yes, you can send a signal to all the RGB LEDs to potentially represent 16 million different colors, or 16.7 million, but really the subtle changes as you adjust, say, one level of brightness on one of those diodes isn't really that significant. The main issue that I have, though, is something that you might have spotted in the system that I have set up behind me, which is also RGB, but is set to white, is that white is never really white as it should be. There's always sort of some other color bleeding into it, because these LEDs can't display just white. It's a combination of red, green, and blue, so it always has kind of a bluish tint or potentially a greenish tint. Now, I also wanted to point out, as I'm giving some praise to Gigabyte for including this capability on their most recent 6257 motherboards, I'm also going to offer some heat, because consistency amongst your lighting in your case is